Willie Robertson of Duck Dynasty sat down with Larry King, and he answered some questions about the controversy with his dad, which happened last year. Of course, his dad made comments about gay people and black people that weren't so smart. Now, their response, they never admit to that, right? Their response is always going to be, well, you know, what he said wasn't politically correct. No, it's not that it wasn't politically correct. It's that he's a fucking idiot. Like, his points were stupid. Like, he compared gay people to terrorists. Okay, you're just not bright. Now, but of course, he won't go that far in condemning his dad. You'll see what he does here. Let's just say he doesn't make the situation better.
How did you handle controversy when your father said that homosexual sex is sinful? Both you and your wife defended him.
Well, we stood by our father. Yeah, we stood by him as a family. Again, you know, some of the things he said in that interview I didn't agree with, and I've even said so. And he's even come out and said, yeah, that was a misstatement with things, you know, leading to bestiality. It was a mixed bag there of things. And then he quoted a scripture, and that's in the scripture. So what I want people to know, and what we've said over and over and over, is that we love everybody. And now I can say that, but I've actually put that into practice. There's several people in production, you know, in this business. There's a lot of people that are gay, and so I work all the time, daily. People at the network that I have calls with. In fact, when we were going through there, some of the people that we were working through, to come out of that, you know, were gay themselves, and they certainly knew us and knew that, you know, the caring we have and love. And so I've sat in living rooms and we've talked stories, and we've worked through like with the musical and all these aspects, and it's with gay people, so that we show our love when we work people and accept.
Well, the basic thing, it can only be a sin if you choose it. And do you think people choose to be gay?
Larry, I'm trying to figure that out right now. I really am. Since the controversy and since I know all these people, and if the thought is I'm born this way, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out myself through the passages, because I always have to look through the scriptures to see what's there, and then I put it up against people, put my time in. So I've spent time, you know, with people, and I never. I'm not the judge, you know. God's going to be the judge. So it's not my job to convince people to change their lives. It's really through Jesus. If I just introduce them to Jesus, he'll do that.
You know, there was a theory floating around out there on the internet for a while that, well, pretty much everything this family does is totally fake, because there's a picture of them before they had the show, and they're clean shaven, they're wearing like Lacoste shirts, going golfing, they look like preppy guys. I think a few of them went to a good college. So there are some people who are in the boat of, well, it's all an act. I don't know if I agree with that, because he seemed genuine there. Maybe I'm naive, maybe I'm wrong, but I mean, look, he sounds like he means it. If he's an actor, he's a damn good actor. And goddamn is the stuff he said stupid. I mean, he was like, well, yeah, my dad even said he didn't word it right, and I don't even agree with everything he said. But he quoted the scripture. That's in the scripture. I wrote that down. I quoted him as he said it, because he squeezed it in there real quick, and I think he did that for a reason. In other words, that's his way of saying, yeah, whatever, to keep the fucking sponsors happy, I'll say, oh, he misspoke a little bit and took back some of it, maybe not really, but he quoted the scripture, it's in the scripture. In other words, he's really going by the biblical standard, so he's not wrong. And then he used the classic defense. I'm not against gay people. I have gay friends. Of course, what does that remind everybody of? Racist! Racist! I have a black friend! That doesn't really help your case. And then he goes on to, well, I don't know if people are born gay. Really, you don't? So when did you choose to be straight? You're saying, well, you don't know if it's biological, or you don't know if people are born that way, or if it's innate, if it's natural, right? So, okay, so then you're saying it's a choice to some degree, right? When did you choose to be straight? This is a question that none of the anti-gay bigots have an answer for, because if they answer it, then they're giving you evidence, they're giving you ammunition that at some point in their lives they were considering, maybe I could suck a cock. obviously sexuality. We don't know for sure if it's in your genes, although there's an indicator. There's a story that was out this month, actually, that spoke about indicators in people's genes that they say is the strongest evidence yet that being gay might actually be genetic. But even if it's not genetic, it's certainly not a choice, because anybody who has any kind of sexuality can tell you what they're naturally into. They could try to force themselves to act out a sex act in a way that doesn't coincide with what their true beliefs are, but they know that they're forcing it, and they know that they're pretending, and they know they're repressing their true desire if you do it. So the idea that a gay person can force themselves to be straight is as silly as the idea that a straight person can force themselves to be gay. It's just you're going against what you know you are. So obviously it's not a choice. But then finally, I'll leave it on this. He says, well, we need to get these people to leave it in the hands of Jesus because Jesus can help them. You always have to look at Scripture. Well, therein lies the problem. No, you don't. See, this is why I get so angry, fellow atheists and agnostics and secularists. We get so angry and we get so worked up and we get so vocal about this stuff because we're the only people talking about it, and it seems so obvious. You can't tell somebody they're wrong in believing this crazy stuff in the Bible if you accept the premise that we should be looking at the Bible at all. The way to win the argument is to say, oh, you're looking at that book? That's special needs. That's silly. Like, really? You're looking at that. Why don't you look at the fucking Bhagavad Gita? How do you know that that's better than the Bhagavad Gita? Plenty of people believe in the Bhagavad Gita, right? Holy book, yeah. Why don't you believe in the Quran? These people, that's like, they go crazy. Not the Quran, not Islam. Islam's of the devil. But there's a lot of people who believe in that too, and that's a holy book. They say, this is our holy book. It's true, right? You say the same thing about the Bible. You're the same people, just with a different, silly, 1,000-year-old book. No, what you have to say is, look, dude, if you want to consult that to try to determine how to treat gays today, that's like looking at Mother Goose. I mean, that's like reading the Chronicles of Narnia to look for life lessons.